Hey, Justin with Certified Property Inspection here to talk about septics, your favorite subject. So we do septic inspections and have been doing them for a long time, but a lot of folks don't understand kind of the basics of how a septic system works and what it's all about. So I'll just take just a minute of your time to kind of explain that. So I like to think about a septic system like a bus stop system. Everything gets on the bus inside the house. Whether you flush the toilet, wash clothes, take a shower, wash dishes, everything's getting on the bus. The first stop in that system is the septic tank. Now at the septic tank, all of the solids that got on that bus get off, and that's their holding spot. Things that sink in water, I'll let you use your imagination, and things that float on water like grease, hair, wipes, that sort of stuff. So all of the solids get off the bus at stop one, which is the septic tank. Stop two is the second part of the system that people really don't think about. And that's the effluent disposal area or drain field, leach field, dry well. There's lots of different terminology, but basically all of that dirty water that got on the bus, which is most of the passengers on our bus in the first place, continue on to a system that's engineered to distribute that water underground. So when you look out, you just see yard, grass, and everything looks the same. But underneath is a system of trenches and perforated pipe and stone beds that basically will take that dirty water and distribute it out. And then Mother Nature does what she does best. She can absorb water, right? It rained a few days ago, and a couple days later, the soil's dry. But we don't want to send all of that dirty water into one spot to create a real mess in your yard. So we have this system over a large space to distribute that. So that's kind of the basics of how a septic system works. You have stop one, the septic tank. We collect the solids. Now those solids don't go away. They do break down and decompose quite significantly over time, but it is important to have your septic tank pumped every maybe 2 to 3 years for most households, depending on sizing, but that's a pretty good rule of thumb. And you're basically just hitting the reset button. So over time, those solids accumulate in that tank, and then when we have the tank pumped, the waste hauler hauls all that stuff off, it's treated at the waste treatment plant, and then you've hit the reset button to then start accumulating those solids. Now stop two, there is no pumping or draining. We're basically sending that out into a system that's designed to absorb that effluent over time and hopefully continue to work. Now keeping those solids in the tank is really important. So there's a couple rules of thumb. You want to have your system inspected every so often. About every 3 to 5 years is a good idea. There's what's called an outlet baffle, and the outlet baffle is what keeps the floating solids at stop one in the septic tank and prevents them from going out to stop two into our drain field. And that's where we have that perforated pipe and the stone trenches. And if we gum that works up out there with solids, we really have a problem. So the outlet baffle is what keeps those floating solids in the tank and keeps them from traveling out to stop two. So making sure your baffle's in good shape and the tank's in good shape is really important, because a baffle that breaks today and is fixed tomorrow is no problem. A baffle that breaks today and isn't discovered for 10 or 15 years, that can create a real problem and become a very expensive issue to fix. So having an inspection every so often, making sure the baffle's in really good shape, and just a couple of do's and don'ts. You can wash clothes, you can use bleach, you can, live in the house with a septic system the way you normally would, but there are a couple things you don't want to do. Rule number one is don't go to the store and buy anything that says add this to your septic system. All of that stuff kind of disrupts the natural biomaterial and algae and bacteria system that Mother Nature has kind of developed over, a billion or so years. And she's pretty good at it, so we want to leave that system alone. And adding a bunch of stuff that kind of disrupts that can be a real problem. So we would not suggest buying anything to add to your system. Eliminate anything that ends in the word wipe. I don't care what it starts with: septic safe, biodegradable, decomposable. Anything that ends in the word wipe is not a good idea. Those kind of accumulate over time, they don't break down, and they really can cause some problems. And then otherwise, minimizing grease inside the kitchen. If you're cooking bacon or sausage or anything like that, you can put it in the trash, use it in the garden, give it to the dog, whatever you want to do, but that grease layer can create what's called a scum layer inside the tank, and that can really cause some problems as well. So if we minimize grease, don't add anything to try to help it, don't use anything that starts with the word or ends with the word wipe, and then have your tank pumped every so often and inspected every so often, you're on the right track.